Scarenberg back at it in the haunted house of terrors that is October. Everything's still slimy. It's scary out there. I'm freaking out at all times. I don't like bats. Bats are scary.
I like watching bats if I see them at night flying around. That's pretty cool.
I like the movie Bats with Lou Diamond Phillips.
I remember that. Yeah. Movies come up on the show. Yeah.
Here he is, El Tren de, and we're here talking about the Curse of La Llorona, as well as Annabelle Comes Home, which I don't know. Sounds like a prequel to Debbie Loves Dallas or something.
Jeez, it kind of does.
It's like the modern step-family porn version of Debbie Loves Dallas. Annabelle Comes Home.
I mean, if you think about it like that, it absolutely... Sure, yeah. It works. Yeah.
It always does. All right, here's the H-bomb over there on the GSP, as he likes to say.
You got it right.
Yeah,
that's probably not the best with highways, but I'm impressed you remembered that.
That's right, and I'm over here on the ones and the booze. Is that a joke I've made before?
No.
That's pretty good.
It's not really your train though. The ones and the twos. I know that's a DJ reference too, though, right?
Yeah, of course. I'm not referring to the train.
No, you don't want to tell people where you live, so you've.
I don't give a fuck. I live at 780 Madison Street. Send me some shit. I'm moving soon, so I feel okay.
There you go. Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So what if you don't get psychos who send you stuff and they send you actual cool shit and you'll miss it all?
That would be great. The Animal Control once sent us some books and shit. I read a few of them.
I just forgot them. Yeah.
Well, you live in New Jersey. Come on over. I'll give you them.
It was the post office. You can mail me stuff.
You think I'm going down to the post office purchasing one of those fucking boxes? Are you kidding me? I gotta put bubble wrap in there?
Jesus, what did he send us? A Fabergé egg?
I was gonna say Fabergé egg. That's a good joke. All right, Llorona. We're closing out The Conjuring this week.
Yeah, we are. Episode 229. So
spooky
welcome.
Number.
Yeah, 229. We're done with Shocktober.
We're not, though. Lots more spooks and scares to go.
That is true. Maybe in honor of the scariest year in human history, we're just going to make it a little extended scare fest.
Listen, spoilers to the listeners, but we got some spooky shit going on in November. We're going to be joyful with Christmas cheer all December long.
That's true.
And we have two enormous franchises that have been purchased for us to cover in January that I haven't even told Henry about because I keep forgetting.
Yes, I think I knew this was done via email of the patron, but I don't think this person revealed to me what they were. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, no, two different patrons, Henry.
Oh, then maybe I might be thinking about something else. This was somebody who was going to buy a bunch of shit and then didn't. I don't know.
Well, two big, multi-level, weeks-long franchises coming up. And I gotta tell you, this isn't the stuff that the listeners are gonna be bored by. These are movies everybody has seen, and they're gonna be loving it. That's coming in Jan.
I'm going to make a note right now for you to tell me that when we're done.
Great stuff.
I want to know.
Let's start with the Curse of La Llorona. Now, are you familiar with the double L sound in the Spanish language?
Yes, I took 4 years of Spanish. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I even understood some of the Spanish in the movie.
Well done. Do you remember that the alphabet had like some extras? It was like A, B, C, Che. What's Che? And then it was like L-A, A-Y. That was the double L.
Very good.
Double R, R.
You roll that pretty well.
I used to be better. I gotta be honest. I used to have a super good Spanish accent in high school. So good that people would rip on me for it. And then I started toning it down in class so people would stop ripping on me. And, I forgot how to do it.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I was really good at Spanish in high school. It was one of my better subjects, and then I just didn't keep it up. But I really need to learn because it's kind of inexcusable, I feel like, right now, to not know it. And I encounter it every day in my job and in elsewhere, and I need to just get on that. When I was in New York, it was almost I felt like an idiot for not speaking Spanish. It was terrible.
Yeah, you're right, man. But, if you want, you could just, walk around speaking English and shitting on everybody who speaks Spanish, like Eddie Murphy in the Beverly Hills Cop.
Wait. In Beverly Hills Cop, he shits on people who speak Spanish?
Is it Beverly?
I'm thinking of Fletch.
Which is the one? I think it's Beverly Hills
Fletch.
Cop. Where he goes to the police station and they say, do you want to hear this in English or Spanish? And Eddie Murphy's like, Spanish? I shouldn't even have to answer that shit.
That is not Beverly Hills Cop.
I think it is.
I think it's... Are you thinking of Rush Hour?
No, I think I'm thinking of Beverly Hills Cop. Listeners, get back at me. Breast heads out there, get back at me with the info.
Maybe Beverly Hills Cop 3. I could see that happening there.
It might be. It might be a Beverly Hills Cop sequel.
That makes more sense. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that being an early '90s fun for everyone joke.
Yeah. John Landis was like, "Fuck those people. I wish I could decapitate all of them." With my late night helicopter blades of fury.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I just like bringing up John Landis.
I know
how he's murdered multiple people.
Multiple? Oh yeah, it was more than Vic Morrow.
Yeah, there were a couple of children there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. La Llorona, Henry, we have a new director, and this is a film. I bring up the Spanish language because we are trying to appeal to Espanol audiences with this film. This is a recent tactic by Hollywood where they have noticed that horror films do well in Latin America, particularly paranormal horror films. And so they have started to market entries in franchises specifically at Latin American audiences. They give them lower budgets and a Spanish-sounding title and see how it goes. The first time I noticed this happening was with Paranormal Activity 5, The Marked Ones.
I saw that in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a slightly just less marketed, lower budget than the previous films, and marketed to Latin American audiences, and it did pretty well for them. La Llorona, of course, they released here in America. They didn't really even mention that it's a Conjuring movie. The film doesn't mention the Warrens, but we do have Conjuring heads. We're very excited at the return of Tony Almeida as the priest from the first Annabelle film.
Yeah.
Great tie-in. I'm loving every second of that.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we got a photo bomb of Annabelle.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
If you want to play that theme at some point.
Oh, at some point. Sure, at some point. Yes. Yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember this movie having a trailer. I didn't know this movie was Conjuring. I didn't know anything about this movie. I didn't know this movie existed until I watched it for the first time. Did you? Have you seen trailers? Nothing.
I never saw a trailer, I don't think. But I remember when it was in theaters. You know, it was weird. The first time I heard of this movie, I remember, was when Linda Cardellini was on WTF with Marc Maron. And he asked her, what are you working on? And she said, I just finished filming this movie. I'm the lead of it, and it's a Conjuring movie. And I was like, what?
That would be wild to hear.
Yeah.
With no context.
Yeah. And then, it was months later, this movie came out, or maybe, soon after, and I just didn't take note of it. They didn't promote it as a Conjuring movie, so I was like, maybe it was intended to be a Conjuring movie, and then they decided it wasn't.
That happens.
But then,
Yeah.
like, when it did pretty well, I feel like they accepted that it was a Conjuring movie, and now I feel like it's on every list of Conjuring movies I see.
Yeah, well, it certainly seems to be on every list. Yeah, I don't know. So you had seen this also, correct? This
Uh,
is one of the few.
I saw this on streaming.
Mhm.
I had no intention of watching this movie. It was literally I had a relatively new roommate,
Mhm.
and it was like a bonding. She was like, "I'm gonna watch this movie. You want to watch it?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, all right." And and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was a pretty painless experience. I remember not hating it.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Mine. I had no intention of watching it either. But my experience was quite a bit more painful. Um,
Yeah, I'm familiar with a little bit of it, and let me just tee you up. Let's hear the story about you saw La Llorona.
so yeah, I was on a I'm on a couple dating apps, and I had
Which ones?
done, I'm not saying.
Seriously? What if the
Right.
listeners want to find you on a
Yeah,
dating app to date you?
that's right. I'm good.
Are you on OkCupid? That's the only one they can actually search you on.
They have email. They have my email. If anyone wants to date me, they can just email me.
Listeners, Henry, available to date. All right. So you're on a dating app. You you
So,
see a woman.
so I know. So, yeah. So I matched with this woman. I can tell that.
What was her profile like?
Oh God, this was over a year ago. This is in July. I don't remember particularly the profile, but I remember thinking that the photographs were somewhat airbrushed, but
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Agreed.
If I
And
see an airbrush on a dating app, I'm fucking done. I'm out. I'm swiping left.
I I agree, but I didn't. I didn't have. It was one of the ones I didn't have to write her though, so it was just a swipe. It was one of those ones I didn't even. This sounds terrible, but I didn't even remember swiping on it, and so then it matched.
It's not terrible. You swipe on like a million people on those
Yeah, I
fucking
know, I know.
things.
I'm trying to be a nice. I'm trying to be a nice guy. I know. Anyway,
Oh God, the people who say like I read all of the profile, like you do not.
no, I don't always. I don't. So anyway, yeah, it seemed innocuous and not that intriguing. But she wrote me right away, and this was I believe I was at work, and I couldn't really focus or anything, but I was trying to have a on and off conversation, and before I knew it, I'm chatting with her. Had literally met her like 3 hours on this site, and she tells me, do we want to talk on the phone?
Mm.
Now, I'm very, very tired. I'm very tired. I work, I come home. I don't want to be doing this, but it's okay. For these things, you make exceptions. I'm like, oh, all right, that's very forward. She went right away, right away. I mean, okay. So we talk on the phone. I instantly get the feeling that this isn't probably going to work. And then she said, just her manner was a little, let's say, her personality was a little, say, unrefined.
Okay,
Let's say
so
that. Let's say that.
she was stupid. She was stupid and kind of trashy.
Yeah, yeah. The right, right.
Okay.
Unrefined. Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Same. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
I'm just trying to like
I appreciate that.
diplomatize that.
I like that. You can do that throughout the story, and I don't mind.
Great.
So anyway, she tells me you should come over tonight. I got a projector, and I have a tiki area, and I'm having a bonfire, and I'm like, okay, sure. Where do you live? Whatever. And when she told her she lived, I knew the area vaguely,
Sounds like
and I was like,
she wanted you to make her a weeping woman, bro.
anyway, I get there and it's trouble already. I pull up and first of all,
Sounds like
she's
she
got
wanted to touch your La ya boner.
Nice. You could have just
La
left the
ya
A.
bona.
Yeah, La Llorona.
That is better.
Yeah, you don't have to add the ER.
Sorry to keep interrupting. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. So anyway, it looked a little bit like trouble. There was a barking dog when I got there. There was a fence, and I came back in there. I could see this huge bonfire. And when I saw her, she looked very little like the photograph, and she had nails that were longer than my arm. Yeah, those kind of like, huge kind of trailer type big. This is classy. This is
White
class.
woman?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. All right. So she's got those
Giant
big
goblet
duckbill
of
nails. Horrible.
giant goblet of sparkling wine or some really lowbrow, like the worst possible thing you could ever have, and it had the
Yeah.
glass had like gems around it.
Yeah, sure. She bought that at the Bola market.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And she was smoking a bowl. Hey, I got no problems with any of that. But first impressions are kind of something you'd think someone would care about.
Did she have one of those things on her dating profile where it was like 420 is a plus?
She did not.
Like
I don't recall it saying 420 friendly.
Right.
That's always what it says. But this also, I believe, this was only one of the several drugs that was being imbibed, because over the course of the night, she kept leaving to go inside the house. She had a Korean projector.
Korean?
Huh?
How did you know it was a Korean projector?
I recognized the label. Was it? I believe it was South Korean. Don't they make Daewoo?
I don't know.
Yeah, yes, I believe it was South Korean, and she had a projector. I don't know why, and she got it in the mail, and she spent probably the first good hour trying to set this up so we could watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to connect her Netflix to this, all the while telling me about her brother who might stop over, but she hopes he doesn't because he just got out of prison and he robbed her house recently. And all this is happening.
Why were you there? How'd you end up here?
I made a bad error in judgment.
This doesn't sound like you.
It isn't. It was a poor error in judgment. I wasn't particularly thinking with me, Ed.
Did you smoke any of the weed?
I didn't do anything.
Nothing.
No, nothing.
I would have to do something.
It felt it was tough, but I powered through. In that scenario, I don't think I wanted to incapacitate myself in any way, and I could not break free. And anyway, she put on the movie The Curse of La Llorona.
That was her choice?
Yeah, she was trying to pick something, and I did not care. All I wanted to do was try to leave, and it was just a very difficult situation to get out of because I'm polite. That's why.
No, I understand. I was on a date once where she had rats running loose in her apartment that she called her pets, and she didn't look like her picture, and it was bad. And she wanted to watch a movie, and so I just picked the shortest movie I could think of.
She had rats running around.
Yeah. and her apartment, it was just like a mattress on the floor surrounded by like empty cans and shit.
Oh god. And it was just so weird because she didn't give me any vibe that I don't know what she wanted. There was no vibe of like even like it was almost like I wasn't there. And she was just really high, and I did not seem at a certain point like it was marijuana. It felt like some other things. And
like what?
I ended up.
Was she hyped or was she nodding off?
Was she or what? Not
was she hyped or was she nodding off?
She was hyper. She was very hyper.
All right, so probably like a coke situation.
Yeah, it probably was. And I sat through the whole movie, and it kept stopping.
Yeah, of course, because you were outside, right? How
She was
good could
playing.
her Wi-Fi have possibly been in that
It was
fucking
horrendous.
backyard?
She kept playing it. It was playing on a garage. That was her screen.
Was it the front yard?
Yard.
Backyard,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was a nightmare. She had roaches in her house because I had to use the bathroom like 18 times because I was drinking like copious amounts of seltzer,
Hmm.
and it was a nightmare.
Where
And
were
then
those
finally,
roaches? Just running wild or just near the drain?
I think there were a couple water bugs in the house, and the sad part was it was a nice piece of property, and I kept looking at it going, I wish I could do something with this place. She had a nice yard. She had a little backyard bed, like a canopy set up and all that. I don't know where she got her money. But
Sometimes you're such a man. You're like too much man for me. Like,
me,
an observation like that, like it's a fine piece of property. It's just I would never have that thought.
I see things that I feel are wasted on some people sometimes, and I want them for myself. But well, also being a man is what kept me there probably too long. I was probably hoping there might be something happening, but it didn't, and it was a goddamn nightmare. I don't even know if it was the worst date I've ever been on, but it was certainly in the top three worst, because it was just so hard to break away. Usually
Three. So there were two worse than that.
equal.
Hmm.
They're easier because most dates.
Can you just name one thing about both of those dates so I can see if I remember them?
Sure. I mean, off the top of my head, one date was really bad. I think I did tell you this. One date was really really bad. I met her in a bar, and she brought her best friend, and they had been drinking all day and were plastered by the
Yeah,
time I
I
got there.
remember.
And
Doesn't sound so bad to me.
she really didn't look like her photograph. Like, I didn't know who it was when I got there, and she waved to me, and I waved back in kind of a who, and then I went in the bathroom after about an hour, and a friend of mine at work had earlier told me some advice that I didn't take, and I still don't ever take this tip because but a friend of mine at work told me, if you get into a situation where you need me to call you or text you, just send me like a little signal on the text and I'll call you and you'll break away. You'll be able to get out of it. And I said, nah, I can handle it. So the situation was so awkward, I actually went to the men's room and I Googled how to get out of a date in like a crowded place. It was like the specifics of the situation.
Why didn't you just leave?
Again,
You're too polite.
I was too polite. I came out and
She was mad drunk. Like it wouldn't mean anything.
And I came out and I said, I'm very, very tired. I'm sorry I worked all day, but it was a great time. Yada yada yada. It was off. That was pretty bad.
All right, and what's the other one?
Oh my God. I have to think about that. I was just sort of saying top three. But,
The difference between you and me, man, is I play out these dates. When I'm on a bad date like that, I just let it ride.
Yeah. I mean, I can as well. And that one was, I guess that wasn't as bad as the previous one because I was at least in a public place and I could have gotten out quicker. I was just, yeah, I don't know. Now I've had far worse, like things that have turned into longer things, like where I really can't get out. And then I'm like, the person becomes invested. That's very different. That's almost borderline, I don't know, relationship, but you know what I mean? Like a second encounter that you can't, then you get divested and all that.
The Curse of La Llorona. Here it is. It was directed by...
That's good?
Yeah. Directed by Michael Chavez. Now, if you're interested in knowing how he got this job, I have no fucking answers for you. There's just like a commercials guy. He did something called Chase Champion. I have no fucking idea what it is. I don't know. Maybe just doing stuff on the internet. He got this gig.
He could have, yeah.
All right. Hey, apparently they liked it. He's doing the next Conjuring movie.
I saw that. Can I say the movie the way this girl said the movie when she wanted to put it on?
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to watch The Curse of La Llorona? I think she's from South Philly.
La Llorona.
Lorona.
Come on, like
Lorona.
everyone knows that double L sound at this point. I feel like even my parents would know that.
I'm trying to tell you the gap of was a little different between her and I. It's a little different
I
worlds.
understand. Pennsylvania, it's a swing state. Yeah, that tells you how stupid they are right now. I should stop insulting entire states on the show. I do that all the time.
But I think we have a listenership that clearly doesn't care because we got people in Arkansas, we got a lot of people in the South. We got people out Midwest,
That's
right? Don't
true.
we have the?
Logan Bad Air from Missouri.
I didn't know he was from.
Yeah,
There you go. He's from Missouri,
that's right.
Harry Truman's town, and you got somebody in Montana, one of the Real Weird sisters,
Both,
right?
I would say both of the Real Weird sisters, as they are sisters.
Well, that doesn't mean they live in the same state.
Well, they're
They live
both
in the same
from
state as us.
Montana.
Huh?
They're both
Okay.
from Montana. Martha's living in Baltimore now, doing something.
All right.
All
So
right, Curse of La Llorona. Chavez is directing. We got a screenplay by Mickey Daughtry, no relation to Chris Daughtry, and Tobias Ayakanis, which sounds like a made-up name. Now, this Daughtry, the only other thing she's written is 5 Feet Apart, which is about coronavirus, yeah. And looks like she's attached to something called Untitled Dirty Dancing Project, so we might be covering that.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah,
All right.
and Tobias is her partner, I guess. All right, now this film came out April 19th, 2019, inviting people to go see it on 420. I guess 420 was a Saturday that year. I'm surprised your friend didn't see it in theaters.
I don't think my friend could find a theater, let alone pronounce the title.
What are you
or watch
talking
a
about?
movie.
She's got a fine piece of property.
She does have a fine piece of property, and I was really the only one watching the movie. I didn't even talk about that at all. I did get to. I was trying to focus on this movie, so I could try to not pay attention to what was going on. The verdict was not it was not good, but I didn't particularly consider it a fair viewing.
Was she attractive?
Were I in a state of semi inebriation? Perhaps. But even without that, a little bit, she was just gave off a little bit of that 97-pound kind of TLC learning channel vibe where she looked like a case. You know what I mean? Looks like someone needed some.
The more I hear about it, the more yeah, budget of 9, which is low. It's the lowest one in a while for this French, and BO of $123.1 million. It was a success, Henry. It came in at number 51 at the box office for the American box office.
Okay.
Right there between Roland Emmerich's Midway and that remake of Pet Sematary that we saw in theaters.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it made a hell of a profit. This movie just came and went. I don't know. I think that the title might be too unwieldy. I think for American audiences. Although you said 120, I mean that's not that much, right? 123 million. It's not. I mean, on a $9 million budget, that's a lot. But
that's a hit, Henry. I mean, look, it's low compared to like the Annabelle movies, which made over like 300 or whatever.
I mean, that's what I mean.
But for a film that wasn't out and out announced as a Conjuring project and was just like a weird horror movie with a Spanish title that was released in April, that's pretty good, man.
It made 100 times its budget, so I guess that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. It was originally titled The Children. Would you like it more if it was titled The Children?
I think audiences might have been more receptive. American audiences don't want to make any effort to understand anything. A fucking title that they can't pronounce.
Henry, I think this was made specifically for Latin American audiences.
Yeah, you did, but it's a Conjuring movie and it's released in the United States, so,
Everything's released in the United States.
I know, Professor, but I'm just saying, I think perhaps if it was called The Children, people get spooked out. Oh, it's this creepy kid.
But who are the children? There's no creepy kids in this movie. There's cute kids.
Well, but spooky children are kind of the thing, right? But
it would be a lie, just like every other one of these fucking movies. They tell you it's going to be a scary doll, and it's not.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that. But now I want to talk about this.
We will get into that on the next film, Annabelle Comes Home. All right, this film was nominated for a Saturn Award.
Awesome. Cool. I didn't think this would get anything.
Well, it was nominated for a Saturn Award.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have made the assumption that it wouldn't have been considered that all of the other ones were nominated for Saturn Awards.
You bring up a fine point. They were, and indeed they are. So here.
Saturn is between Uranus and Neptune. Saturn, whoa! Sci-fi best of films.
Sometimes I just sit back and I wonder how you and I are able to continue a show for.
I know. Sometimes I stop and I really hear our podcast.
That's what I just did.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often. It just clicks with me, and it just clicked right then. And I'm just like, how does this go on?
Yeah, this show's ridiculous.
It's really
Is it good? I don't know sometimes.
Everybody says it's good. A lot of people I'm hearing.
Not everybody.
Not everybody. Not potty mouth.
Woke and racist, potty mouth. We talk about Elvis dying too much.
That's a good thing. We make 9/11. I mean, come on, man.
Never
Jesus
forget.
Christ.
Hey, so this Chavez fellow was nominated for a new award called the Breakout Director, Henry. The Breakout Director.
Wow. Okay.
And he lost to Ari Aster for Hereditary, understandably.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you what, it was also nominated for an MTV Movie Award.
Oh, all right. Let me pull that one out now. I gotta go into the internal storage Google file. MTV.
Oh boy. Most frightened performance, you'll recall, is a category we're dealing with these days. Right. And what's her face was nominated, Henry.
Cardellini?
Yeah.
Good for her. What's her face? You love her and I love her.
I know, but I literally forgot her name just now. And she lost to Sandy B for Bird Box.
Oh, wow. Well, mixed emotions.
She had that patch on, the big fold, the blind fold.
That's right, patch.
Are you more or less attracted to Sandy B with the blindfold?
God, you know how to ask loaded questions, man. I'll give you that one. It depends on the situation I find me and Sandy in. It would just depend.
All right. Can I give you a situation?
No.
Okay. You're on the run from monsters that if you see them, you die.
Oh, yeah. Not the situation that I thought you were going to present.
But you're trapped in a house with a kooky cast of characters.
If there's no monsters in the house, you take the blindfold off.
That movie's okay.
If we have privacy, then we'll do whatever we need to do.
You probably do.
We have privacy, Sandy and I, then, in this situation?
I'm going to say, survey says yes, you have some privacy.
Malkovich isn't going to come into the room or anything like that?
No, he's in the corner jerking off. But, I mean, it's privacy enough.
I need you to take the blindfold off.
You know, I watched that movie Alive recently, where they're eating people in the Arctic or whatever, and
Movie.
the Andes, not the Arctic. And I forgot that Malkovich plays into a prologue and epilogue in that film.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. I had not remembered that one until I rewatched it a few years ago. Yeah. I think that movie could have been better, but I still think it's a good 3-star movie.
You know, I'm Frank Marshall superfan #1 over here.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right, you ready to discuss? I mean, God, are we 2 hours into the podcast at this
I
point?
think we're 2.5, 3. Yeah.
La Llorona, let's discuss it. The Weeping Woman. We get a prologue, a worthless prologue. That
Full agreement.
Full agreement. Okay, yeah. Why is this in the movie? I mean, it's like a bunch of kids playing in Mexico.
First of all, I don't need, I know we'll agree on this. I don't need it to show me 300 years prior. Okay. Because then I got to think about 1673, what's going on, how good are toilets, what, that kind of whole thing. I don't need 300 years ahead of time. I certainly don't need a prologue that's going to be recounted to us as a story at least 3 times in the movie. So why am I seeing it if you're going to tell me it happened again and again and again?
Well, this is a film with roughly 18 minutes of content, stretched out to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It is so weird. It's not a bad movie. It's just deeply insubstantive.
That's the word. I think my issue with this movie it's several fold, but the main issue is
Let's hear them folds, baby.
Yeah, I used to, but I'm skinnier now. The thing is that this movie, the story, the actual story itself, the mythology, is just not that interesting.
I feel that way about all of these movies, though.
But the other movies have potential. One of the main problems with this movie is it tells you the entire origin and what she wants, this ghost. So there's no stakes whatsoever because you already know what to expect, what's going to try to scare you. And it telegraphs every move, not even by intention, just the story itself. It's not that compelling, in my opinion.
It's not compelling, but that didn't necessarily bother me. Because, I don't know, it's definitely not a mystery. You are basically told the story right from the beginning, this is what they want. There's, a little bit of a mystery right at the beginning. Cardellini is, a social worker, and she goes to visit a client played by Marta, the maid from Arrested Development.
Right.
And, she has her kids locked up or whatever, so Cardellini, of course, calls Child Protective Services on her, which I would do the same. And
she is Child Protective Services.
Yeah, but I think she's there to evaluate, and then okay, so then fucking it turns out that La Llorona was after them. And that they took the kids out of the house. La Llorona is able to swoop right in and kill them. All right. Well, so I'm sort of on board. We got we got the dead kids piling up early on in this movie.
Well, so the kids get out. They go to basically a temporary kids home. It reminded me a little bit of the prison in Child's Play where they put Andy.
I know. I thought we were gonna get maybe a cameo of one of those girls from Annabelle Creation.
That would have been something, and
would have been something.
Fucking ghost comes out. They can't stop it. They do a couple of effects with the mirror in the hallway. Also, I got to confess, folks, as Dan referred to it earlier, the word franchise as French. I don't think I've heard him say that. We're fans of the abbreviated word on this show, but I haven't heard French.
Yeah, we're the French.
Yeah. So the French, can you relabel the show the French?
Yeah.
Officially?
Yeah, that's the new title. It's how After a while, Total Request Live was just called TRL.
I love it. I'm totally down to just be the French. I want to get even weirder looks than I do right now when I tell them people. The French, I'm Frenched out on this Conjuring thing. So I'm it's very hard for anything to become eerie. And, I'm not saying it didn't at some point in this show that we'll speak about, but this one is just, it's falls flat. It's just like, there's nothing going on. And I have to say something very controversial. This is a very controversial opinion. I had a better time watching The Nun.
No.
I did.
Not me.
I could see The Nun being what you like to refer, a lot of people refer, obviously, as a good, bad movie.
But it's not. It's too boring to be one.
This to me is just boring.
This is boring. Here's the thing. I feel like filmmakers that have been influenced by like the Guillermo del Toros of the world tend to take a look and think that long pauses and periods of silence equal atmosphere. But if you don't do anything with that, if you don't film it compellingly, if you're not telling me a story that I'm watching out for, then I'm just gonna be bored by you. And the Nun fucking does this, and so does this movie. And I really think it's because they never really fleshed out the stories. Like these are like 1 act, 30-minute. Like honestly, The Conjuring should just be an anthology. Like they should do Conjurings, and then like the spin-offs should be anthology movies because they all have like 20 minutes of content stretched out to feature length.
Yeah. This one especially.
Like how much fun would like a Creepshow style Conjuring anthology be? One movie where it's like they do shorter versions of the first Annabelle movie, The Nun, and this, and that's a movie.
Yeah, I like that. That would be that's a really cool idea, and we haven't seen anything like that in theaters, like a major movie, in a very long time. I like that a lot. I mean, I just watched on Hulu that Monsterland thing.
I don't know what that is.
It's very cool. Mike Coulter, a whole bunch of people make Bill Camp, one of my hero actors. I love Bill Camp. And some weak stuff, but some great stuff. But they kind of know it, and they make it 8 episodes. They're very nice and short, and it has like a through line. And, but I like what you're saying. Like, take the 3 stories, make them 40 minutes. They could be probably.
Because these aren't movies.
Yeah, this one especially would.
No, The Nun especially.
No, but the Nun, because it was so poorly written, that could have been a better, longer movie. But I just feel that this movie in particular is like a little bedtime story about a woman who will come get you if you're not good, and a good kid, and that would make a great Creepshow story.
But I will say the difference between this movie and The Nun for me is that The Nun has 0 characters I'm interested in. 0. It's the little Farmiga. I don't even remember who's in that fucking movie. Who was the dude?
You got Damien Bashir, who's got weight. I liked Frenchie. You did not. This movie literally rests solely on the acting ability of Linda Cardellini, which is great.
Also on her children.
Well, I meant the good. Yes, they're fine, but
I was interested in her family.
Not.
I was, and frankly, I completely disagree with that assessment because I'm looking at the cast list now, and granted, he doesn't show up for the last half hour until the last half hour. But you've got Raymond Cruz.
I was in the process of saying one of my favorite character actors is Raymond Cruz, and he is told to give I don't know what, the most wooden.
No.
Tempting humor, but it not really landing a couple of times. I like the cop who is the husband's partner the African American fellow. I really liked him, but he's given like one
You
scene
mean the
at
black
table.
guy who was the piano teacher who had an affair with Selma Blair in Cruel Intentions? Yes.
Oh wow, is that right?
That's right.
20 years ago.
He's been around a while, this guy.
Okay, well, he was superb, and his scene with Cardellini at the dinner table where they're both drinking wine out of the tumblers, that was cool. But then it's gone, and he never really materializes. And I didn't care for the Raymond Cruz. I think that could have been a scene stealer, that character.
I
and it
felt
just didn't.
no, I agree. This would have been exactly where you want to bring in John Goodman to tear it up.
Yeah, he could have been. I don't know if it. I don't. Again, I don't think it's his fault, but I do think they gave him some lines that he could have.
I think he's all right in this movie. I feel betrayed by you. I also felt that I pithily referred to her as Marta the maid from Arrested Development, but I thought that Patricia Velasquez probably, was really good.
But I'm talking about like the main story. Those people don't have it. This is not a two-hander or a four-hander.
No. But I disagree because the whole movie, it follows Linda Cardellini. She's in basically every scene, which is fine by me. And,
me too.
But like then it's her like following along and visiting people. She goes to see Patricia Velasquez in prison or whatever. Yeah. She has dinner with Sean Patrick Thomas. Is that actor's name? And
I think that is his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to get him mixed up with Patrick Flannery. Sean Patrick Flannery.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you got him mixed up with the guy from The Lord of the Rings.
Who's that, Orlando Bloom?
No, Sean Patrick, somebody else.
Oh, there's another Sean Patrick? Are you talking about Sean Bean?
No. You're gonna hit yourself when you realize who I'm talking about. So am I. Dude's in everything. Fucking all the like school kids.
Sean Astin.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I thought it was Sean Thomas something. You're absolutely right.
Viggo Mortensen.
No, Sean Astin. Yeah, Viggo, Sean.
Liv Tyler.
She's in The Lord of the Rings.
Andy
Serkis. Alfred the Butler in the new The Batman movie.
Let's see how deep I can go. Elijah Wood.
You're going to regret this whole segment when someone commissions us for that fucking thing.
You're right. Let's stop talking about it. All right. So this is a spooky movie, Henry. And I thought it was pretty good.
Really? Wow. All right. We're really far apart on this one. I mean, Annabelle Creation, we didn't really agree on that either, but I didn't really have that much, but we're way far apart on this one, man. This is just a boring slog where I just couldn't buy into it at any juncture, and the scares were all pre-choreographed to the point of just, I mean, I there was just nothing going on there. And even the set pieces where you kind of depend on those in some of these movies, like, well, maybe we'll get some cool set pieces. I mean, there's one by a pool.
What about when the little girl is trying to get her dolly without breaking the sand seal that is going to prevent the weeping woman from entering the household?
They broke a cardinal rule in that they actually made, because they're just making it for me as a viewer. They broke a cardinal rule by doing something that very, very rarely ever happens to me, and even in the worst horror movies. I didn't even do this shit in Friday the 13th for the most part, because I know I'm watching a movie. I'm literally so disengaged from the film. I'm watching that sequence when she's going through the door threshold, and I'm like, don't leave the fucking doll.
Of course. No, you're supposed to, Henry.
No, I know that, but I never even do that. I let the movie usually just take me away, because you could say that in every horror movie all the time. Don't go in the basement.
Yeah, and that's fun. That's one of the funs of horror.
This is how disenchanted I was with this movie. It's just boring. I think it looks nice. I think it's directed all right. I just think there's nothing in this story at all. At all.
I think Linda Cardellini builds a very reasonable portrait of a mother going through something and and having a difficult time. And I wanted her family to be safe, and I was rooting for them. I don't know. It's not a great movie. I give it a 2, but like, this is a totally fine movie. I like it better than a few of the other ones.
I do not, and it is not a 2 for me. It's a 1.
That's ridiculous.
I just don't. The worst thing it can do is just be completely boring to me. And The Nun was a 1 as well. So I mean, but this is just.
I think this is significantly better than The Nun.
I can understand that. I mean, I understand it, but for me, there were only the things that made The Nun stupid and boring were sort of just been there, done that. And in this movie, it's just the pacing is off. Everything is just off. It feels like this cobbled together movie. And you can kind of tell maybe that this is this guy's first foray into this kind of territory. I don't know. It was just highly uninspiring, this movie.
All right. Henry doesn't seem to want to discuss it that much.
Absolutely we can. What are you talking about? You gave your rating, so I thought that was your cue.
No, I know. I'm trying to think of other like specific scenes, but I'm so put off. Any?
I liked when they visited Raymond Cruz in his shop. I mean, that was not a bad sequence. I think the kids go in there and they want to touch stuff or whatever. He's got all this weird shit in there. And he tells them to not touch anything, and that's kind of funny.
Okay.
And
I don't even remember that part.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. When I saw him, I got a little excited because I was like, "All right, well he can give us."
It's weird that he's like a good guy though.
Yeah, you don't see that.
He's fucking Tuco.
Yeah, he's Tuco, and he generally gets typecast as a bad guy. So it is nice. I don't know. Just felt like a wasted opportunity. You could have got anybody for that role if that's all you're going to let the guy do. Linda Cardellini's strong. She's very strong. And I did have the thought when I was watching her in this movie many times, why does she not get more leading roles?
She will now. That show Dead to Me has been a real boon to her career.
Do you think that'll lead to movie roles when they resume making movies in 2050?
Well, they're not going to keep making stuff, but I mean, she's been nominated for like Emmys and shit for it, so like clearly like she's getting a boost.
I hope so, because she's great. I mean, I had never really seen her until you introduced me to
Freaks and Geeks, and it was hard for me as a fan of Freaks and Geeks to watch all the other Freaks and Geeks cast members become enormously successful. Well, Linda Cardellini was just like, who was the star and the heart of that show, right? Was just toiling away on like ER for years. And like, I am very pleased that it seems like her career is moving in an upward direction.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, she's really like got that strong features. She's like really smart. She's beautiful. Like, I don't get what prohibited that or inhibited it. And you even look at Freaks and Geeks and you're right, like you even got like fucking Martin Starr. He'll pop up in some random shit and you're like, that's Martin Starr.
John Francis Daly is like writing Spider-Man movies.
Her brother in this
show? Yeah.
I didn't know that. Jesus. Weird.
He directed the Vacation remake, bro.
Oh boy.
And Game Night.
Passed.
That's all right. You should watch that.
Well, I'm not going to watch Vacation because...
No. Well, we will watch it for the podcast, but Game Night's worth watching. It's not great, but it's fine.
Yeah. By the way, I also saw that you watched the new Borat, and it kind of spoiled my plans because I was thinking about us doing it, and I didn't watch it on purpose. And
Henry, I would rewatch that right now.
All right. Well, I don't want to spoil. All right. Really? Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so maybe I'll wait.
It was endlessly rewatchable. I'm happy to go back to it.
All right.
Who's your MVP?
Linda Cardellini.
I'm gonna go with Patricia Velasquez. I was really impressed. That scene with her in prison, and she goes through a real arc in this movie where she's like specifically trying to summon La Llorona to fucking kill her kids, which is like a super evil thing to do. She's kind of the villain of the movie for a while, even more than the ghost. And then she comes to her right mind by the end and sort of helps them. I thought it was a legitimately good arc and a good performance for someone who, when she showed up in the movie, I laughed at who she was.
I didn't even recognize her from Arrested Development, a show obviously that I've seen. I didn't even make the connection, so that's pretty funny. That's good. That's a good pick. My LVP, just because it was such a disappointment on top of a disappointing movie, is Raymond Cruz.
Oh my God, Raymond Cruz garnering an LVP here.
You know, I want a lot when I see that guy, and I just didn't get anything.
I mean, I'm looking at the situation here, and it's pretty grim. I like all the actors. The kids were both good, I felt like.
They were fine. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with like whoever this DP was, Michael. It was so dark.
Oh, you're going the Henry route? You're going for non-cast member?
Yeah, I guess. I might go with this Chavez guy. To be honest, with him directing the next Conjuring movie, I am not intrigued.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, I went with the writer, Dauberman, for The Nun. So, yeah, I get it. I know. That is not great.
I'm surprised they didn't go with Dauberman to direct the new Conjuring. Like, they seem really high on this guy.
Yeah, they do, and he directed our next movie we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're flip-flapping.
What do you think of the new logo? James Wan's production company has a new logo, Atomic Monster.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I've been meaning to bring it up for the last couple episodes. I love that.
I think it's cool too.
I love that little animated thing.
I think this is a Marvel. Marvel pioneered this. The flippin' flappin'. We're gonna show a bunch of characters in a thing.
Oh, sure. Starting with the first Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, way back. Yeah, and I've been seeing it more and more. Blumhouse now has a logo like this where they show characters from Blumhouse projects. And
I didn't notice that. I always thought it was still that girl walking in a corner creepily.
Well, it is, but I think there's other things in the room.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
I didn't think they were related to anything. I mean, DC jumped on it immediately. They do that shit now.
Well, they do anything Marvel does.
That's true.
And then, other than, make good movies. And then, there was, what's the other one that does it?
Well,
I feel like Star Wars has one like that now, too. But anyway, it's weird. This is a new thing. Now that intellectual property rules movies, that's what they do now for their openings. And we're losing track of the old nonsensical studio openings. And I miss that. I truly miss the days. I remember seeing The Peacemaker for the first time in theaters, Henry.
Clooney.
Dog. Yeah. And it was the first ever DreamWorks release. And I remember being excited, legitimately excited to see what the DreamWorks opening thing was going to be.
Yeah.
And then it was like, there's a weird acoustic guitar, and it's like a little boy, and he's fishing, and then he's sitting on the moon fishing, and I was like, this is dynamite. I love it.
Do I have this right? Boom, dum, na, 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 na.
Bum 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 bum.
I like that you.
Come on, I wanted you to do the last part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do.
Right, it decrescendos. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was admiring your choice to not go full on soprano there because you knew you wouldn't be able to hit those high notes because I wouldn't either. So you went for the baritone.
I know what these folks are capable of.
These folks on the French.
Yeah. Hey, I listened to the new AC/DC song. It's pretty fun.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's
good
just
riff.
A good time. It's just a good time. Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. I just really wanted to say, when I was a kid, and I rewatched Glory recently.
I saw that
and
you did. You gave it 5,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, it's got probs, but
Yeah.
the last 30 minutes of that movie are some of the greatest I've ever seen. That final battle against that fort, it's unbelievable.
The best
It,
part is Denzel's tear.
yeah, I mean that's very powerful too. I was critical
One.
of that movie for a while. I went through a period of being pretty critical of that film, but I think that it's a pretty important movie, and it actually did something I didn't remember it doing, which is I know that Ebert was the one who rightly had pointed out that, why do we need a white protagonist
Yeah.
yeah. But what I noticed on this viewing, which was interesting, is that I didn't really remember that it really is also told not as much, but close through the soldier's eyes as well. And it's not really Broderick's recollections of the soldiers. It kind of devotes equal time to the soldiers.
Not equal.
No, I said not quite, but more than I had remembered. And that was.
It's a good movie. It's a 4. Come on, 5. Get out of here.
I well up during that movie.
Yeah,
Anyway,
of course.
but anyway, only reason I brought it up was because of when it came on. I got to feel so nostalgic because guess who made that movie?
Ed Zwick.
And you can sing. He doesn't have a logo yet. He needs one. Zwick.
They probably have one for their
Zwick.
for their TV enterprises.
No, but listen. TriStar made that. All right.
Yeah.
And
they got that white horse, that Pegasus.
I love the Pegasus. Ba-bum, bum. Ba-bum, bum. Ba-ba-bum, bum, bum, bum. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, I do remember that being on a lot of childhood features.
TriStar, and my 2 favorites were TriStar and Columbia. If you remember the beginning of Ghostbusters,
Columbia's Annette Bening. It's just Annette Bening holding a torch.
Is it Annette? You're right. It does look like Annette. Have people said that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a great little opening. It
yeah,
depends on
we also love the Lion of MGM, of course.
Yeah, we see him a lot. Lions, a lot of stuff we watch gets a lot of MGM.
Well, it's because we were doing the Bond movies, man, and we did the Thin Man. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. Anyway, I love the Atomic Monster thing. Keep it up. Keep it right on up.
All right, Annabelle, she's coming home.
Home. Home, sweet home. Mama, she's coming home.
The Nazi reference?
Yes.
All right, nice. All right, Doberman, he's back to write, as well as direct this time, gang.
Old man at the helm. Yeah.
Yeah, and this came out just a couple months after that Llorona nonsense. June 26th, 2019. A big budget of $32 million. Box office of 231.3. And it came in at number 37 at the box office between Men in Black International, previous episode, and Danny Boyle's masterpiece Yesterday, which had the courage to imagine what a world without the Beatles would be like.
What is it? My Life Story? Is that all it is? I mean, my world's without the Beatles.
You never heard of this movie?
Yeah, I did. I just forgot. I forgot that was the premise.
Yeah. He wakes up in a world where the Beatles never happen, and so he adopts all the Beatles songs as his own, and of course becomes the biggest star in the world because those are the best songs ever. And what a film it is, Henry. Yesterday. It's of course named after the Paul McCartney song.
That fantasy should happen to me, and then I would just keep it to myself, and then
that would be fucked up, Henry. You have that much disdain for the world. The Beatles, which have brought the world so much joy, you would choose not to share the Beatles with the planet.
We'll be all right.
But come on, man. I need that obla-di obla-da.
That's one you don't need.
I need that Rocky Raccoon, baby.
I'll tell people about the White Album. I'll write those songs.
You'll
I'll
write those?
Well, isn't that the premise in the movie? He claims them as his own.
Can I give you some advice?
Yeah.
You could leave off Revolution 9 this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go through this alternate universe, we might as well give me some pointers as you're the fan. Okay.
Yeah. But don't go crazy.
No, go ahead.
You need some of those songs. Don't go crazy. I mean, the impulse is going to be to leave off stuff like Piggies, but you want to keep that.
Well, I'm keeping Your Blues. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I know. Of course, you'd like that song.
Because it's got some balls, which is something hard to find on the Beatles.
It's not the only emotion that's allowed to be found in music.
I would agree. I mean, Morphine is in my top 5. I don't need everything to be ballsy. Oh my
God, this guy.
And Emiliana Torini. I play her in my.
That?
Yeah, exactly. Check her out.
Can I talk about this? Annabelle Comes Home. I have strong feelings on this film.
All right, let's do it. This one and the last one, not seen by me in theaters.
I had never seen this movie, and now I feel like I've truly seen it. It was nominated for a Saturn Award.
Okay, we yeah.
Doberman was nominated for Breakout Director, and he lost to Ari Aster for Hereditary.
Fair enough, man.
Same year. Same year. They were nominated against each other. All right. Let's fucking talk about it. This is a film highly calculated, I would have to say, by the Conjuring team. We're doing a Conjuring movie, but it's really an Annabelle movie. But, it's been a while since we've had a Conjuring movie. I think we got to remind the audience what the Conjuring is about. So let's get Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga in glorified cameos, and we are going to promote the film around them.
It's also we got to get the Conjuring in there. We want to get Annabelle in there, but most of all, we're getting the spotlight on that evil room that we saw in the first movie.
I think this whole movie is a spin-off delivery system. It's like they hadn't made a Conjuring movie in a while. They were running out of little things like The Nun, and they needed to add a few. So I have written down at least 3 spin-offs that are sure to be made from this film.
All right,
with a possible 4th.
I'm thinking of 3 right now, so let's see if we match.
Okay. The Bride.
I didn't think of that one. I didn't remember that one. Okay.
I guarantee you there will be a movie in the next couple of years called The Bride.
I just thought of La Llorona because of the wedding gown in that, but you're right. It's the ghost is wearing like kind of a white veiled costume.
They find the whole thing. It's like a mannequin in the room.
No, I know. You're right.
And they tell the story. Yeah.
Yeah, they got their own story. Go ahead.
All right, next up. The Black Shuck. And this is going to be about a hellhound who possesses a man.
Yeah, that was one of mine. I want it.
I want it too. It seems like they're starting to set up monster movies, and I'm excited about that shit.
Hellhound on my trail, maybe. I love that. The Hellhound idea, I want a movie.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a better idea that's your idea. Make Creepshow 6 The Conjuring and put Hellhound as one of the stories.
And The Bride. And how about this third one, Henry? The Samurai.
Yeah, The Samurai was the other one I was thinking of, but there's the third one you didn't say yet. Now, I don't know if you just forgot.
Well, The Samurai, I was intrigued by because it's like there's a whole section that's setting up a movie. Because she finds this samurai armor for no reason. It's totally out of left field. It's late in the movie. We have other things we're concerned about.
Yes.
And then she starts getting ghostly whispers in Japanese, and she's
I
like
guess,
looking
yeah.
around and shit.
Very wild, very wild. Yeah, and I think the other movie we're gonna get is the
Can I say it?
Ferryman.
Yep, that was the possible fourth I was going to bring up, the Ferryman.
The River Styx. A lot of possibilities there. Yeah.
Yeah, so get ready. It seems like we're going to be getting a lot more of these Conjuring spin-offs.
Well, I want to say right off the bat, I don't really know what you thought of this movie. I kind of maybe have my own ideas as usual as to what you thought, but I will say off the bat, I'm not going to say my rating. I'm not going to say if I liked it. I think Doberman, this is his first director. This is his first time directing. I think he's a better director than he is a writer.
Henry, would you like to make a prediction about how I'll feel about this film?
Yeah, I'll try. I think you did not like it very much.
Henry,
Yes.
I'm so happy to tell you that you are wrong. I fucking loved this one.
Wow.
Oh, what a delight this was. I'm sitting through all these boring ass Conjuring movies where it's just like some fucking ghost fighting these people and they've got to do spells and whatever. And then this movie kind of starts the same way, to TBH.
Yeah, definitely.
We get the Warrens. Here they are, Vera and Patrick, and they are investigating the Annabelle case. And we see them procure the Annabelle doll from that house where they were in the beginning of the first movie.
That's right.
And they're driving with it in the back seat. Of course, let's keep it in the back seat behind us. And let's
upwardly seated.
Yeah, and let's never look back there. All right? All right, so they drive into a ghostly sort of, it's like they've used a lot of dry ice on a field.
Yes. May I say something about that whole sequence?
Yeah.
So we get to witness again the world's most perfect marriage, where we never argue. We are vastly in love, in lust. We quibble a little bit in a jokey way about, you're going to get us lost, honey. Remember what happened that time in Vermont? Oh, Ed. And then we're going to joke about a little bit with a cop who pulls us over, and we're going to say he's going to...
I hated that scene. Can I say I did not like that scene?
I didn't either. And you know why I didn't like it too? I'm kind of done with the Warrens. I don't need any more Warrens.
I'm out on the Warrens. They are liars and grifters. And this cop who's just doing his job. And listen, it takes a lot to get me to sympathize with a cop. But this cop, he pulls them over and he's like just talking to them like normal people. All right?
Are you a doctor? You said you could help. Are you a doctor?
No, he says, "Are you a doctor or something?" And he goes, "Or something." It's like everything he says has a double meaning that is a joke that's just for the audience and for him and his wife. And it's like everything he says, this cop is just like, all right.
Yeah, right, because he says, the cop looks at the doll with the right expression, and he goes, cute doll. And Ed, Warren's like, that's what you think.
Yeah. No, he says nice doll. Nice doll. And he goes, that's what you think. And it's like, why don't you just, like, either act like a normal fucking human being who understands that the cop doesn't actually give a shit about any of your shit and just drive on, or, like, tell him, I am a grifter, I'm a paranormal investigator, and that doll is haunted, alright? Like, his move is to just, like, act like a fucking douchebag and treat, like, essential workers like they're trash.
Like, this cop doesn't have enough to deal with. It's dry ice fog night. John Carpenter apparently walked onto the set. You can't see 10 feet in front of you. There's a massive accident in a tunnel, and he has to be a smartass.
Yeah, and now I have to deal with this fucking jokester, this comedian who looks like a fucking piece of white bread. All right.
He's got a rosary on his rearview mirror. So
Ugh.
I got to deal with that too.
I know. All right, so I hated that whole setup. And then, like, they bring the doll into the house, and it causes some havoc with the daughter.
Well, the daughter's there. She's got a babysitter coming over, and the babysitter's friend comes.
Oh,
over.
I wasn't up to that shit. I just mean the prologue.
Well, but they hadn't done, the doll hadn't done anything yet.
Oh, they just put the doll in the basement? All right.
Yeah.
So they go into that room, they put the doll away, whatever. And then you're out. You're out, Warrens. Sorry people came to this movie to see you, but they're not going to see any more.
I'm all right with it because they got, yet again, this, I will say one thing about this French. This French, the kid actors and then teenage actors, they're nailing it.
All right. Well, this kid was a coup for this movie because this is a famous kid. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
I felt like I recognized her, but I didn't look her up.
She got first billed in this movie.
Was she really?
Yeah, first billed, McKenna Grace.
Okay, from what?
I mean, she's around. She's just in shit. Here, she was young Captain Marvel in Captain Marvel.
Okay.
She was in The Haunting of Hill House, which we watch. I think this was her first thing. She was in that movie Gifted, which was like a big hit, where her dad was Chris Evans.
Okay, well, I know her then from Haunting a Hill House. That's where I know her.
But you know her from a lot of shit. She was young Tanya Harding in I, Tanya.
Oh, great movie.
She showed up in the Independence Day Resurgence, which we covered, Henry.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, this actress has been in tons of shit.
Okay.
All right, upcoming in the next season of Handmaid's Tale, Henry.
Ooh.
All right, and not only that, listen to this. She played young Sheldon's girlfriend on Young Sheldon.
You must have been really happy about that.
I saw her show up on there.
Yeah.
You know, she's another child prodigy, Henry. They're taking college classes together.
That's cool.
Their teacher is Wallace Shawn.
Gotta love Wallace Shawn.
And
man.
Wallace Shawn also was in a love triangle with young Sheldon's grandmother, played by Annie Potts. And
Annie Potts ends up with Wallace Shawn in life. That's what happens to Annie Potts.
Well, love triangle. The other man is young Sheldon's sister's baseball coach, played by Craig T. Nelson.
Poor Annie Potts, man.
Maybe this is what the show should be now. I'll just describe young Sheldon to you.
Yeah. Annie Potts, the sexy secretary in Ghostbusters, What Do You Want? She ends up with her choices in life at this age are Craig T. Nelson and fucking Wallace Shawn.
First of all, Craig T. Nelson has become a very handsome old man. He has He has retained that baritone voice and a little bit of his hair. All right, so don't talk shit about Craig T. Wallace Shawn, you know, he's Wallace Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Annie Potts, she's depicted on Young Sheldon as being kind of a sexy young grandmother.
Good, because I'm sure she is. I haven't seen a picture of her in 20 years, but, you know.
Well, you don't need to see a picture of her, Henry. Just watch any episode of CBS's Young Sheldon, Thursday nights at 8 o'clock.
I think I'll look up a picture.
Are you sure?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
All right, anyway, let's get into the meat of this, baby. McKenna Grace is the recast daughter of the Warrens, and she's carrying this film. She has a babysitter played by what's her name?
Madison Iseman.
Yes, who we have seen as the hot girl from the Jumanji pictures, who is Jack Black.
Jesus Christ. Okay, man. All right. I did. You know, you throw somebody in a 1972 sweater. Apparently, you fool Henry.
I recognized her instantly.
If I was in the DC universe, I'd be the only citizen on Earth who wouldn't recognize Clark Kent as Superman.
I gotta be honest, I am a little bit more accepting of the Clark Kent thing in the coronavirus pandemic because I cannot tell people that I know from when they wear masks. I don't recognize anybody.
I don't either. That's a very, very good point.
And when you have masks and sunglasses on, I'm fucked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, then you kind of have sympathy for the saps in comic books who don't recognize the superheroes who have the lower face mask, and you're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I think I get it
Now
a
I
little
get
more
it.
now. Now, I do not have any sympathy for, like, the Lois Lanes of the world. Come on. You have enough contact with this person that you should be able to tell them apart. But
Right.
to this average citizen of Metropolis,
Yeah, maybe not.
I
You're
understand.
not going to know who Clark Kent is.
Yeah, he's a lowly reporter for
Only
the
reporter for
Daily Planet
the Daily Planet.
from Smallville.
Get the
Kansas.
belch out, man. You got to let it happen.
I did. Off mic, unlike you.
Oh, you used to save those for when we're off air, and you do it right in my fucking
I
ear.
only belch into the mic when we're off air, yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. Those are for me only. And then the third girl, Daniela. Who is this now? Will she be somebody else I've seen in a million things?
This is an actress. Katie Sarife is her name, who I was completely unfamiliar with. She has never been in anything I've watched before and was a total revelation to me. I think she's great in this. I think she makes the movie kind of her own, unexpectedly. Having, like, the movie starts, she's sort of the third wheel. Like, it's like the Warrens' kid and her babysitter, and then, like, this other girl hanging out. But then the movie sort of becomes about her because they leave her alone in the house and she sneaks into that room to try and summon her dead father, who we later learn it's like a pretty good arc, who died like in a car crash when she was driving.
Yeah, it is.
I thought I was watching fucking Signs here.
Yeah, right. and that also was, I thought, to your earlier point, I liked her balance because also I thought Madison Eisman was very, very good, and like Katie Sarife, she wasn't so good that she like stole thunder from Madison Eisman or the kid McKenna Grace. Like all three are very solid, and I think probably the least flashy role would be Madison Eisman.
Definitely, yeah.
And yet she's not bland or boring.
No, totally acquits herself.
She's what?
She acquits herself. I think that's all you can do with a role like that is like play it up, like be yourself. Like you need an actor with like at least a little bit of fucking charisma, and you have to. It's an underwritten role for sure because Gary Dauberman tends to underwrite every single role that he ever comes up with. And so it's up to the actor in a lot of these situations to fill out the role. And a good actor can do that. And, like, believe me, I never expected to be saying this about, like, the two attractive ladies and the kid in this fucking movie that are the extensible three leads. But all three of them do.
Yes, and I had seen this movie not that long ago, this year, but early this year, I believe. And I remembered the Warrens being in it more. I went into this kind of thinking, you know, oh, these kids are in it like to share the screen, and they're really not. It's a complete three-hander, and I even liked things I don't think I normally would like. You know that I shouldn't have liked the fucking pizza guy, and he was fucking hilarious.
Really? That scene did strike me as weird.
Like I thought it was hilarious.
It was such a weird.
It doesn't really belong in the Conjuring world. It's very unlike a lot of things we've seen, and that's why I thought it was funny.
Well, it was such a twitchy performance that I expected him to come back, but it really was just that one scene.
Just got a weird pizza guy, and you know the blandest guy in the movie is probably Bob's balls, but he's all right too.
Bob's got balls. Yeah, I found him bland at first, but you know what? Like, he kind of had chemistry with that Madison Eisman.
Yeah, he did.
And so, like, I was rooting for them.
Yeah. I agree. Me too. And I actually like that they didn't put him in too much. They kind of gave him the intro in the grocery store, the guitar scene out the window, and the Hellhound sequence. And none of them were overdone. He didn't really overstay his welcome.
If
Um,
I have a problem with the movie, it is the structure of it, and it's because it nothing really goes down ultimately. Like it turned this movie when it was first announced. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like mythology heavy because it has the Warrens and like it's the third Annabelle movie and third in the franchise tends to be the mythology one. Um, and so I was surprised at the start of the movie when it seemed to be like a secret teen slasher movie. It's like this stealth teen movie, and I was like obviously super pumped by that. Um,
and yeah,
but
and
like
it's yeah.
But do you have a problem, Henry, with a slasher movie that goes through all of the sort of like it goes through the motions of a slasher movie, and we get the big night where all the shit's gonna go down and a bunch of spooky, scary stuff attacks, and everyone gets thrown around like every Conjuring movie, and then nobody dies.
I knew you were going
Do
to say
you
that.
do you
Yeah,
have?
yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, I liked all of the characters, so it's not like I was rooting for anybody to die. But on the other hand, like, don't you have to kill somebody in these movies?
But that has been a thing
But it
in
has been a thing because they've been families that are largely composed
right.
of kids. And you
That's
don't
right.
want to like constantly be killing children in these fucking movies. I was
That's right.
surprised in La Llorona they killed a couple of children.
Yeah, I know. And those were the only deaths in that movie.
Yes,
Um,
but
well, no,
this
I guess,
movie,
but yes,
where like this is now a franchise where we are trying to do different kinds of horror genres, and
yes.
like this one, which is like a slasher film, sort of seen through the sort of lens of a Conjuring universe movie. I do think like it's sort of a cheat not to kill anybody.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I mean even somebody to bring in as a slice and dice meat, man. It doesn't even have to be really one of the main characters. You could just really just throw in somebody. I mean, it's just kind of
Yeah,
funny because
give one of them like an asshole ex boyfriend.
yeah,
Make
yeah,
the kid who's bullying the little girl a little older, so you feel more comfortable killing him.
yeah. Because in even in the Nun, the three main characters don't die. In La Llorona, none of the main characters die. Um, and in the Conjuring movies, nobody really. It's a strange thing. It almost feels like he's purposely avoiding that, or he just likes his characters to
Yeah,
the
to
point
be
where
like
he.
old fashioned or something, but like go back and watch the fucking Omen. There's like insane deaths in that movie.
Well, right. That's what I mean. Like, where, well, not what I meant, but what I was going to say was I don't really know if it's old fashioned. It just feels like he's kind of trying something new by doing this, but it is odd because once you get used to these things and watch them in succession like we have, I could almost guarantee we were going to get through this movie without a death. Now, I did think, I forgot that Bob's Got Balls does live. I thought maybe he was going to get it, but
But they want a happy, like everybody gets a super happy ending in this movie to the point where like the film ends with like Patrick Wilson busting out that acoustic guitar again, going like, "Who's here for a song?"
yeah, they cut that at the right point, though.
I wanted to hear another song.
I know you did. I thought of you and Jason
I was
liking that.
bummed that we cut away.
Yeah. See, I think the movie does a pretty good job of pacing, though, because it starts out slowly. It starts out a little bit boring, to be honest. Obviously, even after the Warrens, we start to get some spooky bells
I
and a
don't.
little.
I like all that stuff. Like after the Warrens, before it gets spooky.
Well, I think it's okay, but it really does a great job of ratcheting up the stuff with the evil room. And then there was at one point in the movie that I definitely took note of, which was showcasing really. I mean, maybe it's editing, but it's also got to go to Doberman for direction. He is at one time juggling four storylines at once, and the editing in there is like almost perfect. Like you've got outsides all simultaneously. Each character, The three girls and the would-be boyfriend all have their own horror monster stories chasing them at the same time, and the intercutting is very good.
I wasn't that impressed. You see this
I
in
was
a lot
impressed.
of slasher movies. Like, if you go back and watch like Halloween H2O, like everybody's off on their own little missions. But
Yes, but all of these were engaging.
I didn't think so. Are you kidding me? Like Bob's Got Balls, like outside in the dark, dealing with like I didn't care about that.
You didn't care about the
And ultimately, I didn't care about any of them really. Like the spooky shit in these movies is not what I'm into. Like they because it's all nonsense.
Of course it's nonsense, but it was I thought they did a good job of making it exciting, keeping it tense. They didn't lose
I was never tense because I didn't feel like anything was going to happen with it. I was just sort of like during that section of the movie, I was literally just like on the lookout for spin-offs.
But so then you said you loved the movie, then what did
I did because I liked the character arcs and I liked the performances, and there's a lot of slasher movies about babysitters, and you don't see slasher movies that much where the babysitters really like the person they're watching, and that the kid really likes them. The build up of the sister relationship between them. They set it up where like McKenna Grace has no friends. It's recently come out that the Warrens are like ghost hunters or whatever, and so like nobody likes McKenna Grace. I'd feel the same way. Like, like don't defend your parents constantly who are grifters and criminals. But like anyway, she gets watched. Like the parents leave town. By the way, on her birthday. The Warrens are the worst fucking parents. They're like leaving the country to fight ghosts on their daughter's birthday. I don't fucking care.
I don't remember why they were going. I feel like I should.
Maybe to do The Conjuring. Maybe this was taking like simultaneously with The Conjuring.
It's a year after. It's a year after. I have the chronology. I'm serious.
All right. So anyway, I really liked the development of this relationship with her slowly bonding with the babysitter, and then like the friend of the babysitter who's a little bit more of a tough nut to crack. Like she really they start talking about death and processing. Like those were well-written conversations. The scene where they're like out on the deck together talking was like really good.
They were, because it turns Daniela into a better character, because at first the impression is given pretty quickly that she's going to be a pain in the ass and she's not going to be nice. And
I thought she was just going to be like the bad girl.
And she is not. And they do that well. And I think a lot of that is the acting, getting you to turn.
I will say that it is done well. I think the information about the characters is parsed out smartly. So I'll give Doberman some writing credit on that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So what I really liked about the movie was just that it's largely a movie about like three teenage women and an adolescent girl, like bonding. That was cool to me.
Yeah, it pretty much.
And like the end of the film taking place, they're redoing her birthday party because her parents are finally back in fucking town and can give 2 minutes of their time to their daughter who's having a horrible time growing up. And the babysitter and Daniela are at the party, and it really does seem like they're there as friends. Like you get the sense that even when they go away to college, like they're gonna like keep in touch with this girl.
They might. Yeah, they might. It was a little
and they bring back Lorraine and Ed for this, who I fucking hate at this point. But the scene where Vera Farmiga pulls Daniela aside and gives her like a message from, she lies to her and says that she's like communicated with her grandfather in like the underworld or whatever. But it makes her feel better.
In the underworld. Because her dad's in hell. I was just talking to Pluto. the god of the underworld, and your dad is sending you a message.
Is that your Vera Farmiga impression?
It's just like a generic, concerned mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your dad says hi.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto, I'm talking. Yeah, not Pluto the dog.
I knew what you meant. There's a bird named Pluto in my apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Has Appa eaten him yet?
No. They're friendly. They get along.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's nice. Dogs are so dumb.
Yeah, they're good though. They're cute, sweet.
Yeah, no, they're great. Great stuff.
All right. What do you give this movie?
I mean, I'm giving it a 3.
No, it is a 3. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But you know what? This was a very enjoyable Conjuring universe effort.
It totally was.
And like far and fucking away the best of the Annabelle movies. And you know what? Part of that is that because there's so much like spooky shit going on, that the Annabelle part of this movie, they kind of just treat her like a scary doll. And that's what I want.
Yeah, they really do. And we didn't really say that. We didn't say this, but Annabelle Comes Home is just a marketing thing. This movie isn't about her. It says in the movie that she caused all this havoc, but come on.
Well, Comes Home is the more important part of the title. They throw Annabelle in there because it is it's a known. Like if you just called this like the spooky room, like not a lot of people would go see it, but you call it Annabelle Comes Home and like, oh, a new Annabelle movie.
Yeah. However, what's very funny about it is if for someone like me who had watched these movies.
Oh, yeah, I'd rather see the spooky room for sure.
Fucking A. Like, if I heard that, the next movie's going to focus on the room that they keep talking about, I'd be way more interested in that. But
do you think it ever came up, the possibility of calling this movie The Room, and they realized they can't do that?
Absolutely. 100%, man.
Tommy Wiseau tried to, like, sue Atomic Monster.
Hey, Mark, can't call it The Room.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah, that was it. You're done? Yeah. You invited all of my dolls. Good thinking. All right. Henry, it is a 3. Who's your MVP?
Madison Eisman.
Okay. And I will be going with Katie Sarife, who I will legitimately be looking out for in future roles.
Fair enough. I need some help with the LVP. I wasn't sure. I liked all the performances.
Patrick Wilson, for being an asshole of that cop.
Fair enough. That's fine. I'll go with him.
I also liked him, Patrick Wilson, when she's like, I invited my boyfriend. Is it okay if he comes in? He walks in, and Patrick Wilson's first response is like, hey, Bob's got balls. And I'm like, you know a little bit too much about teenage nicknames.
Why would he know that?
I don't know.
Is he the fucking basketball coach?
I no, but I will bet you they're going in there once a year and doing like an audit in the auditorium, doing a presentation about ghosts. Because when I was in elementary school, there was a girl whose father was a scuba diver, and every fucking year he would get up on the stage in the auditorium and talk to us about scuba diving, and we could ask him anything we wanted. But it was like, we know. You do this every year. We know about scuba diving.
It's good. Yeah.
And you know what else we know? Katie Forte's dad? We know about TWA airports. We know about that. You've taken us on like 4 different class trips.
Yeah. Scuba diving, I mean, if it had between your freshman and sophomore year, if it had a radical innovation that allowed us to go a certain amount of nautical miles that were not possible the prior freshman year, by all means, come back.
When I was in elementary school, we legitimately learned more about scuba diving than civil rights.
I didn't learn nothing about civil rights. I just kept hearing how great a General Lee was.
I only remember learning about the Holocaust because I remember all those faces turning around and looking at me.
Get the fuck out of here.
Of course.
You serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Jesus Christ. That's so upsetting.
Yeah. All right. What a great time we've had in October, gang. Oh, we have to rank the fucking Conjuring movies. I'm pumped. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. There's 7 Conjures. And what do you have here at number 7?
Well, this is where you and I will differ. The worst Conjuring movie for me is The Curse of La Llorona.
Incorrect. It's The Nun.
Incorrect. That's the second worst, The Nun.
My number 6 is Annabelle Creation.
Ooh. Woo! All right. Number 5 for me is Annabelle.
That is my number 5.
Okay. Number 4 for me is Annabelle Creation, my first 3-star ranking so far.
My number 4 is The Curse of La Llorona.
Still a 2-star rating.
That's right.
Yeah. Number 3 for me is Annabelle Comes Home.
Also my number 3. We'll probably have the same top 3. What's your number 2?
Oh, yeah. Number 2 is The Conjuring.
Correct. And number 1 is The Conjuring 2.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I just hated the Annabelle movies more than you. Those first 2. That's all.
Basically, yeah. That's essentially, I think, what the main difference was. I think the dividing point was Annabelle Creation, which I thought had a 3-star merit.
And La Llorona, which I felt was okay.
Oh, right. You gave it 2 stars. Yeah. No, I came out with 2 1-stars, 2 4-stars, 2 3s, and a 2.
I've got no 1s. No, I've got 1 1. Probably a few 2s. I can't do this right now. 2 3s and a 4. 2 3s and a 4, definitely. All right. Henry.
Sir.
I gotta be honest with you. We need some fucking 5-star ratings and reviews on iTunes. You dumb pieces of shit.